Hey guys, how's it going? Ghostly Rich here. I'm here with Amir today. As you can see, we're wearing some Unitronic merch because Unitronic decided to sponsor another video. If you remember, we've done a whole lot to this GTI right here from them. Everything from the cold air intake, to their exhaust system, to their tuning software, to their KO4. Well, I reached out again and they decided, hey, they wanted to sponsor another build. So here we go. We're gonna be doing the cold air intake on this. And in another video, I'm gonna show you tuning this car to stage 1. Now, this car right here is an Audi S5 B9 2018. This should help change the sound of the car, and also it just makes it breathe like a dragon, especially for the cold air intake. It's not going to be a big performance gain. That's not why you do it. It just changes the sound of the car, and it does give it a little bit, you know, cooler of a look under the hood. You'll see when we're done. It changes out the cheap plastic looking one to something with a little bit more carbon fiber to it. So give us a second, we're gonna pop this open, and from there, get it going. All plastic. Remember this, because this is gonna change up. Go ahead and rev it a little bit. You can hear, there's just a little something missing, especially if you heard my GTI videos. So first thing we're gonna do is just go ahead and pop this straight up and get this cover out of the way. It'll probably be nice and hot. I'm just gonna put this off to the side. Now that we have that, we can see all our tubing within here. Before we touch this, why don't we go ahead and remove this? So as you can see, take a panel popper. There's this little button right here. You're just gonna compress it with the panel popper and slip this up and off. After you do that, up and out of the way. And then we're gonna have some torque screws right here to remove this plastic piece. So as we can see, this Torx is part of it and this Torx is part of it. So I'll tell you the size of that in 1 second. Before we do that, why don't we go ahead and slap a 7mm on here, loosen up these clamps. Doesn't have to be all the way off, but if they're nice and loose, you'll be able to slide it off a little bit easier. All right, just like that. All right, I'm gonna grab this Torx and I'll tell you, it's probably a T25, but don't quote me on that yet. Looks like I was right, T25. Just go ahead, pop that up, nice and long. Perfect. Wiggle that out. I'm just gonna put this off to the side. From here, wiggle this out like that. And look at that. We're already getting somewhere. Now, for this one, yeah, it just pops out. And that's it. I mean, you can see right here, this one wasn't horrible, you know? If you really look at this, it pulled it from the front. This is just like my GTI one. You know what? After this, I'll pop it and show you that. The only difference is what I love is Unitronic kept the enclosure. So that way if water gets into your engine bay, it doesn't just soak the filter. You end up having a nice concealed unit. So if water somehow makes it in here, you're still keeping that extra protection and it's shielding it from the heat of the motor. And let's face it, put your hand near it and you'll feel that heat. The stock components, they were light, but oh man, wait till you see this. Let's just snap. It's an instantaneous difference, just like that. Take a look at this carbon weave on here. And then on top of that, I'm gonna give you guys some more close-ups, but look at the work that they've done here. Looks super nice, the carbon weave, and they've put their emblem in it, because, I mean, it's more than just branding. It looks really, really good. You've got everything down to the gill-like air intake right here as well, so you can hear the intake now. It's not just going to be, you know, that drone of air that when you hit the accelerator, you're actually gonna hear it breathe, which we'll just let the intake do the talking. You'll hear it afterwards. As you can see right here, more carbon on the intake tube. Looks super nice. Again, Unitronic logo. That's probably gonna mount just like that. And then right here, this piece is just beautiful. Insane. So this is gonna sit here for a second because I also want you to see this is what this used to be. This is also the end piece onto there. And then the other piece we were dealing with before is, I mean, this is still heavy. Like, you feel this? This is much lighter. Not that, I think the kit just looks way nicer and we're gonna have way nicer sound. And this pipe right here, basically a little bit lighter, but the look is insane. Like I said, it looks really good. I'm excited to hear the difference in sound. So for right now, let's get ready to install it. One last thing I was gonna show you is how well they've done with the new air filter. They've now gone, just like I've seen with Edelbrock, with the center breather, which I think is really, really good design, and it allows for a little bit more CFM. You can see this is Unitronics for the GTI. None of that. It's all just pull from the front, or I mean pull from the sides. This just adds a little bit more. Other than that, let's go ahead and start placing this thing in. As you can see, this piece is going to slide into here, holding it firmly. Try and just work it into the rubber. Try not putting too much pressure on it. We don't want to damage the carbon, but we do want it to get in there and squeeze in. Now, if this gets too much, what I will do is I will just lube this up just a tiny bit. I just want to see if I can get it without doing so. And you can also try pulling up on the edge of the rubber. All right, there we go. Oh, almost. And again, just pulling up on the edge. Okay. Now that I made that look just absolutely wrong, go like that. Okay, go ahead, tighten this clamp. Do not go ham with it. You want it to hold it on here, but you do not want it to compress so much it's gonna crack the carbon underneath. You need to be careful when tightening this up. So off of here, all we're gonna do is tighten this down. Again, you're gonna feel it get tighter. And then what we're gonna do is we'll straighten up the clamp after. Okay, we're getting tighter now. Once you do, you want to bring this up, and you don't want this to be right on the edge of the inside lip here. You want it closer to over here so it's going to have a better grip, and keep it as straight as you can along that rubber lip, but not on top of it. So you'll see it's got that rubber edge. You do not want it on that rubber edge. You want it just in front of it to hold it. And then you're going to tighten this up. It's going to get tight. And right there. See how I'm doing this with one hand? If you start cranking this with a ratchet, I have a very good firm belief that what you'll end up doing is cracking that piece underneath, because it's not, like, it's strong, but it's also, it doesn't need much. Again, not structural. And when this is working, it's inhaling. It's not pushing out. Remember that red mark that I pointed out during the earlier instructional video? Well, from here, now that we have our filter on, like I just showed, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna slide this piece on right here. You're gonna notice that just comes in right like that. Now, one thing Unitronic gave you is these little spacers, and the reason why is because these are pinches. As you can see, there's an opening in between them. You just slide them on, and I would put them on right beside each of the screw holes. You don't have to. Some people might elect not to because they don't look 100%, but what they allow you to do is have space and for it to sit a little tighter. And again, pretty easy. Pull them back and slide them onto there. I say easy, and then I start messing it up. just like this. As you can see, they can be a little fun. Come on, just like that. There, just like that. Okay, so once you've pinched these all on, next thing to do, like I said, little red marker right there. Come down over here and squeeze that on just a little bit. Make sure these rubbers don't get in the way of your screw holes. Move them around if you need to. I think one that I'll probably move is the one up here. I want the top end of this to look really, really clean. So just like that. See how none are really visible from the top? Perfect. Again, up to you if you want to run with them or without them. Now that we've got those on, go ahead, take this and one of those washers, slide them through the hole, and go ahead and start tightening it up. Don't do it super tight on the first pass. That way, if you need to shift this back and forth a little bit to line up the other holes, you can. You never know. And there's our red matching our red. There's that rubber, which you'll never see because it's on the bottom. And last but not least, right here. Oh, see, that last one I had to shift it. That's exactly why you don't tighten them all up until the very end. Once you get to the very end though, go ahead and snug them up. Again, you'll notice that that flexed a little bit, that's fine. But do not go and crank these because you don't want to break that carbon lip off because that would just be such a bad day. And again, I'm adding no tightening pressure to these. If you're really worried about them, go ahead and throw a little bit of blue Loctite on these screws and then they definitely won't back out. But right there, that's nice and tight. Unitronic label aiming up, squeeze it on just like that. Now that we've squeezed it on, take the clamp that's on the end right here and slide it over onto here. It's way easier this way. Once you've done that, bring this in, bit of an angle, and then we're gonna work it around the rubber pipe right here. Just like that. Perfect. Now that that's like that, before we put that clamp on, let's line up our rubber grommets. Squeeze down. Yep, just like that. I'm just gonna make sure we're all sitting flush. Just like that. This needs to pinch back over here, just to make sure. Okay. Once this is right over here, I'm gonna slide this piece back on. So that way, our clamp will hold onto the rubber right here. Apparently I went a little bit deeper with that one than it needs to go. Okay. Perfect, just like that. So see how that's nice and in there? Now if you want, you can hide this under the wiring harness, do whatever you'd like, but we're gonna tighten this clamp up. And then last but not least, we're gonna back that clamp off. We're gonna tighten it up as well. Let's see. So like I said, depending on how you are with clamps, first thing I'm gonna do is loosen that up. I'm gonna hold this one here so it sits nice and flush. Then tighten it up. All right, that's now holding. This one, down over here. We're gonna loosen it up a little bit more. Bring it all the way down like that. I might even actually try and wrap these around even deeper, just like that. And we're gonna just make sure it holds. Again, we're not trying to make anything structural here. We just want it to hold this nice and tight. Just like that, perfect. Already looking pretty good. Like I said, I think I'm gonna roll this one back just a little bit more. And from here, I'll tighten it up. Just right here. Okay, so now that we know this is nice and flush, see how the gap is about the same all the way around? That is how you know that it's not gonna slip off. If it sits on an angle, it's not causing even pressure. One side will have a little bit of pressure and the other side will have a little bit of pressure. When it's sitting like this, the clamp is applying even amount of pressure and you know it's gonna be good. Last but not least, our last piece. Bring it in on a little bit of an angle. And then slide it in right here. Once we're into the box, see this little nub right here, this little silver nub? Goes just like this and in. I'm gonna hold that a little bit as we go in. And let's grab this and our 2 silver screws. We're gonna go ahead and line that back up right in here. And we're gonna put, just start it out, 1 screw in right here. Again, do not crank these down yet. You just want to get them started. There we go. The reason why is if you sink this one down all the way, this might have to shift a little bit so you can lock this in proper. Right there, perfect. And you can see it's pulling itself into place and helping hold the intake, give it a little bit more strength. Again, do not go cranking these. You don't want to break the rivets that are pulling this in out of the carbon, because that would really suck. Just like that. Look how good that looks. Holy smokes. All right, there's only one thing left to do. Go ahead, start your engine. Woo-hoo! Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That sounds so good. Again. That's what I'm talking about. That, oh. You can't compare the sound, man. People are like, oh, cold air intakes don't do enough for their worth. For this, just as you had it, how it popped up, just go ahead, line it up on here, sink it in, try and lift it afterwards. If a corner lifts up, sink it down. Last but not least, this piece, slide it in right here, down, make sure it just goes over that gear, and then from here, just make sure it goes and clips back into the grill on those little edges. Right there. So it should just go down and in. There, just like that. Now that we have that, Mir, you put in the final piece.
Don't forget the handle. There we go. Done, dude.
There we go. Well, guys, thanks again, Unitronic. Just taking a look at this, it just goes to show their quality control and their attention to detail is insane. It looks super good. and sounds super good. You cannot even imagine what it sounds like in person. Like, you try and imagine it through these videos, but it's a different feeling. Ask him.
It's crazy. It's crazy. I can't
By the
wait
way,
to drive it.
Unitronic hat. This is one style. I gotta show you. And ask Ketchum.
Unitronics.
It's all good. I could even do this and be that guy. What's up? All right, so we're all good here. That's all there is to it. If you're excited to see this thing go a little bit quicker, by a little bit, I mean, I think it's 100 horsepower on 93. Stay tuned. We're about to flash it.